Okay, here I have an old flip clock. It's even got the original box with it. This is a national Panasonic branded one. Box has seen better days. RC6030B. This is a white colour. So I believe they came in a wood grain finish as well. Certainly in America they did. No problem with that box, it's very noisy. But always interesting to see the box on these old things. Now this is very similar to the RC6025, which is, I believe, famous for being the one used on Groundhog Day movie. This is a bit different though. If you're not already following the Flip Clock Fans channel, they're worth a look because they know everything about these things and how to disassemble them and repair them. And according to them, the 6025, which was used in that movie, doesn't have this white stripe around the screen. And the other things I notice are different on this because it's an Australian model. It's got National Panasonic on the screen here, whereas the American version has Panasonic down on the radio dial there by the look of it. Because here we were used to the National brand, a lot of radios and televisions and stuff came out under National. So this must have been somewhere in the era where they were changing to eventually just become Panasonic only. They went from National to National Panasonic and then just Panasonic, which they still are today. And the other thing I notice here too is the radio dial's a bit different in this one to the American one. It's got the little National badge up there. It's got this channel thing at the top and canal or whatever that is on the other side. Same with the radio frequency. It's got FM megahertz, AM kilohertz times 10, which I think in the American one are down the other end here. It's got this UKW, which I'm not even sure what that is, and MW, which is medium wave. So I'm not sure what UKW is, but that's normally that should be megahertz on the top. Well, I guess that's FM. So yes, a wide medium wave. There must be a ultra something wave maybe. So you had short wave, medium wave, long wave. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen FM what actually said what wave it is. It's normally just FM, so maybe it's something to do with that. So we've got the time set knob here, and I think that is the alarm set there. Which goes the other way. Got radio on, off, auto, and alarm. I think auto means the alarm turns the radio on. Alarm means you get that horrible buzzing alarm sound. I'm not sure what this other knob, what does that go between 0 and 60? Oh, maybe that's the loudness of the alarm or something. The buzzing sound, I don't know. Haven't actually got a manual with this one. FM AM switch, min and max volume, and yeah, that's just our tuning. Now I've tried this out, the clock actually works fine. This looks to be in almost mint condition, but a little bit of mess on the top here and on that knob, but that should come off easily. Hasn't been out in the sun much by the look of how white it still is. Actually got an external FM antenna connection there. The cord was a bit dirty, which I've cleaned up. A little bit corroded, maybe there's got something sticky on the plug, which I must give another clean to, because I noticed that before, it left something sticky on my hand. So I'll just get some metho and give that a bit of a clean, because I don't know what that muck is on there, but I'd hate to think really, but probably not the end of the world. Looks like someone spilled a drink or something probably on it. It's possibly making the electrical contacts go a little green. So I'll just wipe the worst of that off there so I don't have to deal with whatever it is. I don't want it on me. Yeah, it's looking quite green, whatever it was. Maybe the actual liquid was green. Pretty gross, whatever it is. Get rid of that warning tag so it hasn't been tested electrically. So yeah, if we plug this in, I left it running for a good half an hour or more. You can just see it lit up there. And it actually, I was looking at it, looks like these have got an incandescent light in them. You can see a little spinning thing, little dial in the radio there to show it's actually running, which was a common feature in these clocks. And the actual light actually comes up as a bit sort of like a warm incandescent colour, because these do supposed to have an incandescent globe in them rather than that using a neon light, which never looked very good. That's the only problem with these clocks. Obviously at night they don't light themselves up like an LED or backlit LCD or something like that. And the other thing I noticed is the radio doesn't seem to work on this thing. We just get a bit of a slight buzzing sound. I don't know what that does. But supposedly these switches are looking at the flip clock fans side on this one. These are common for having bad contacts in them. Just need to clean, some contact cleaner in them. So I'm hoping it's just something like that. I'm just getting a kind of 50 Hertz hum out of the thing and nothing else. So I'm not sure how these knobs come off. I probably should have washed the flip clock fans channel a bit better to see how to get the knobs off. He's got some good techniques on there for removing knobs off this sort of stuff without marking them, especially because some of these are very hard to get off. This one looks like it might be nice and easy to get off. I tend to do silly things like put a screwdriver under there and just, if they're loose, you're not going to mark anything. You do put a little bit of sideways pressure on, which is probably not the best idea, but this one actually probably the easiest knobs I've ever got off a flip clock of any sort. Bit of muck under there, which is not real nice. So I can sort of clean this thing up as I go, removing any muck that people have left. All these knobs want a good clean. That one's probably going a little bit yellow as well, but they probably need a good soak and scrub. Some muck down in the under the volume control there. Got someone's had some brown muck on their hands when they've touched everything. Be a good chance to clean that switch properly. And this whole top of this case almost wants soaking and scrubbing. Maybe remove the speaker off it so I can get it a bit cleaner. And it's actually got a 50 Hertz or 60 Hertz lever here, although it does move if you push it hard enough, which is an interesting one. So it's obviously made for more than just Australia, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just got different dial markings and, like I say, different branding on it. The only one of these I could find online with the same labels was actually on some Russian site, which actually also had the national Panasonic brand on it. But all the American ones seem to be Panasonic. I'm not sure they ever had the national brand in America. It was always just Panasonic, I think. Oh, this screw is very tight. So yeah, they're branded a bit different, and unfortunately this isn't really that close to the Groundhog Day clock, which sounds like it's fairly sought after. It's similar but far enough away that it's not going to pass that well for the original. Man, these screws really are stuck in there, some of them. Very tight in the plastic. Probably because they've never been out in the entire life of this thing. I don't know what this hole here does, but if anything, probably nothing. But yeah, they are super tight, some of those. See if we can get them to fall out. 3 of them did. The back ones haven't. That one's loose now. And it's starting to come out. Always nice to get them out just so you don't lose them. Or drop them on the floor and have to find them. Yeah, that one's coming out. It sounds like something very loose in there. Oh, what's making that noise? It keeps wobbling after I stop moving it. Might just be part of the mechanism. So just, yeah, be careful. It's quite grotty inside here. Yuck, for that. Given how clean it is on the outside, it's not so good on the inside. Top cover's quite dirty. So where do these speaker connections go? They just... Well, before I disconnect that, I might try doing the switch. Yeah, quite a bit of filth on there. Dusty looking. Rather unpleasant looking, and often these little felt bits come off the switches. They often collect dust. So what I might do, there we're going, probably haven't got the radio on. Oh, we don't want that one, we want the other switch, this bit. Well, where's the volume? So that's off. Is it on? No, it's off. That's on. I can just hear a buzzing sound. Which FM. I'll get some CRC switch cleaner lubricant in there. Might do this live while it's running, see if it makes any difference. Oh, instantly. Just like that. That's amazing. Definitely got our radio back now. Give that a good rub. Volume control's maybe a bit dicky too by the sound of it. But I'll save you listening to that. Not a lot of interference. Not much on AM, but that's probably because I'm in this shed here. There's no socket connections.
There's only so many people that
Probably won't have to put a little bit of cleaner in there anyway, given the age of the thing.
So what?
95.3 and 98.5, the most southern station in the nation. You're listening to Community Radio.
From the concert halls to the jukepoints, from churches to festivals in the fields, welcome to an episode of Beale Street Caravan, celebrating the sounds of Memphis and the Mississippi Delta for more than 20 years.
Heard around the globe on NPR Worldwide, major funding for Beale Street Caravan is provided by the Memphis Convention and Visitors Bureau and the AutoZone Corporation.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Pat Mitchell-Worley.
And I'm Kevin Covey.
So as simple as that, that's got the radio going, so that's saved a lot of hassle. I'm glad I watched that video on flip-flop fans, because not sure I would have gone to the switch, because normally the switch you'd expect it to flick in and out a bit and give you something, some idea that the radio's there. This was just humming, no hiss or any sort of sound from the IF or oscillator or anything, so that was a bit odd. I want multimeter, I'd be interested to look at the ESR on a couple of these capacitors while I'm in here. But they're probably as good as the day they were made, knowing these things. They generally don't fail. I've got the power off. 4.725. Well within its range by the look of it. 100 mic 10 volt, 0.36 should be pretty good for that. That's, yeah, up around the 25 volt range, so these caps may well have been made extra good to start with, who knows. Don't know if I can get under that 470 mic, I better be careful of these speaker wires. No, not easily, but they're well and truly within range. Better than most of the new caps when they're new, I think. Paper towel, and I'll give a few things a clean in here while I'm in here. I don't think this radio really needs much more doing to it, because it was only the radio playing up, surprisingly. I think it's the first time I've seen a flip clock where the radio played up but the clock was actually fine. It's usually the other way around, the radio's fine and the clock doesn't work. Yeah, I'm almost going to need a toothbrush or something when you start getting like bits of muck in the actual lettering there. That's in the enclosed part of the A. It doesn't really want to come off. Yeah, that cleaned out the some of it, maybe not all of it. It's like in the M there. Hey, that's got it. And then we've got some down in this speaker grill. Some bits there and some bits up here. Sometimes you just got to get it, fill them up with metho and soak them a bit. Really bad design these things were, having all these extra. I wish I just put the grill on it and that was it. Because they give you all this thing to make it look good, which it does when it's first out of the box, and then it just fills up with dust and muck. And doesn't look good. Yeah, it's starting to loosen up, I think. Sometimes you've got to get like a little precision screwdriver and try and push that paper in there. Obviously not through it, and try to make sure you don't scratch anything. You try and get a couple of layers of paper build up. That's certainly getting the worst of that off for now. I just want to get the worst of it gone because it looks really bad on what is otherwise quite a nice clean clock. Very few fine scratches on the Perspex front or anything, so I don't think this has had too much use. I can't imagine the light globe would still be going if this had been running for years on end. So I might clean a little bit. It already looks a heap better. There's a bit of muck just where the two case halves join together, so it's always nice to get rid of that. It really ruins things when you can just see that bit of stuff along the join there. Clean the cord off where it goes in. And I think the knobs need a bit of a clean. And there's a bit of muck under here, I better get rid of that. And I guess the other thing we probably should do is actually pull the speaker off the cover, because it's bound to have a bit of dust and stuff in there. Looks like this one's not glued in at least. Sometimes they're just glued in there, or they've got screws and glue. Just be careful not to put too much tension on those wires, because they will pull the terminals off if you're not careful, and possibly rip those little flexible wires going into the speaker and ruin it. Wow, that's really clean. One of the cleanest speakers I've ever seen. Just a little ring of dust on it there, on the very edge, but that's Again, doesn't look like it's had any sunlight on it. Very little. That'll normally be a lot lighter colour. That's almost like new out of the factory. A nice dark grey cone on it. And yeah, it's a little bit of dust in the actual top itself, so I'll get rid of that. But the fact they've still got the box for it probably means it's spent a fair bit of its life just sitting in the box. Usually means they've been put back in the box and put in a wardrobe or something and forgotten about for years until someone finally cleans it out or someone dies or something and it gets thrown out. Thankfully the tip shops save these things now before they, well, at least if people donate them to the tip shop, they get saved before they get buried or incinerated or whatever they do with some of this stuff. Because this is a rather good example, even though I'm not a massive fan of flip clocks. They were kind of a cool technology, but very quickly replaced by LED, or even I quite like the vacuum fluorescent clocks because they were quite rare when I was young. Didn't see many of them around. They were probably pretty expensive. It wasn't till LEDs sort of came out and have been around a while that clock radios got reasonably affordable, but they were still fairly expensive. Often somewhere from the $30 to $50 mark. I've still actually got a National. Yeah, I think mine's still branded National, even though it was more in the Panasonic era, but that's a green LED fronted one from, I guess, around the mid-80s. It's never missed a beat, that thing. Still going to this day. Still use it to wake me up in the morning when I need to go to work. So they were nicely built, most of these Panasonic or Matsushita or however you say it. Matsushita, some people say. Matsushita, something like that. As you can see there, Electric Industrial Co. Of course, these mechanical clocks, because they had the motors running all the time, they were more prone to something failing. Although sometimes it was just that they weren't used for a while and the oil or grease or something dried up in there and stopped the motors running. And this is amazingly quiet, this one too. Usually these clocks make a fair old clicking sound when the mechanism goes, but this one you can barely hear it. I was actually surprised. It's more like the second hand on some sort of electric analog clocks where they just make a slight sound. Obviously they go more often if they're clicking every second, or some of the clocks just every minute they would go, and this is the same because it's only every minute and it just makes a slight sound. Nothing major at all. I always thought these were quite annoying, the flip clocks, and I know some of them are quite noisy. Some of them you can actually hear the motors running in them too, which may be just because of age. But when I had to listen to this one earlier when I just test ran it, didn't seem to make much noise at all. I couldn't actually tell when it had changed. Even though I was messing around doing other stuff, I wasn't taking too much notice, but I did have to stop and actually watch it and actually listen for it to change. And it didn't seem to make a lot of noise, but it did have a bit of a clean. That has actually come up really nice, though the knobs I think are a bit on the filthy side. Maybe even a little bit on the yellowed side there. Again, these might need a bit of a soak or something, but I can probably get the worst of the stuff off them just with the toothbrush. Oh, there's a few grotty bits. Someone's had food on their hands or something. Which I hope it was food. You wouldn't know now. That's the tuning knob. There's a little bit of muck on the inner part as well. So that doesn't go in any particular way by the look of it, even though the shaft has a flat on it. But yeah, it always pays to just clean everything while you've got it apart, since you can access everything. But this with a few cleaner knobs on it will look a ton better. taking a while, but it's getting it eventually. It's annoying when there's a few little bits don't want to come. It's getting there. Just a little hole here. I don't think that's dirt, or maybe it is a little bit of dirt, and got this little pointer in it which seems to have something dark in there, but hard to tell whether that's meant to be like that or not. So that's the volume, I guess. This definitely goes a certain way. It's got a little bit of red paint or something on there. Which is annoying. So it probably would have been easier just to soak these for a bit, but I think I can get the worst off with not with a scrubbing brush, with a toothbrush. Using it to scrub. Yeah, it's instantly getting some of that off, which is great. But yeah, the way they made these knobs with all these little grooves and stuff, I guess it made them easier to hold on to, but man, it makes them a pain to keep clean. And yeah, these sort of speaker grill type setups, sort of just dust collectors, which is never good. That isn't perfect, but that's got it a lot better than it was. From a distance you aren't going to notice that. If you look really hard, there's a little bit of dirt left there, I think. Yeah, a little bit in there. A bit yellow looking. That's got most of that off there. I mean, you can spend forever getting these things perfect, but I'm quite happy with that so far. A million times better than what it was. That can probably mostly just be cleaned off from the outside with a bit of paper towel. Yeah, it's amazing how much nicer they look with a bit of a clean. Yeah, that's come up rather nice, especially given its age. It's rare to see them in this sort of condition, well, at least in my experience. They always seem to be yellowed, and I've got a couple of others lying around here I must fix up one day, and I've seen other ones for sale. I mean, this one only cost me $5 surprisingly. I got a bit of a bargain there, because often they're asking $50, $60 and they're in terrible condition. I was just lucky with this one. Dropped in at the right place at the right time. And they weren't charging silly prices. Probably because the radio wasn't working on it. And it was a sort of as is, where is thing. But that doesn't usually deter people. They still charge a fortune for them. Just because they see silly prices on eBay, which probably never sell, because they're silly prices, but people see people asking crazy prices and think everything's worth that, which it isn't. You can only go by what someone's actually paid, but to be fair, some people are paying some crazy prices even when they are up for auction, rather than a set price. That's great. That's actually come up really nice. The light's still going, we haven't messed that up at least.
Here's an idea. Let's axe the packs. The daily leaders.
That's a worry. Oh, what is that? What that is? Oh, that's a 60-minute timer or something. Ah. So yeah, all the knobs are now clean on it. It's actually come out rather nice. That one's a bit yellowy, I think. The others look pretty right, so maybe it was getting a little bit of sun from that end. There's one annoying little bit there. There's something. And that's my little screwdriver gone. It's vanished. One annoying little piece of dirt there. That's a lump of something. Well, that's gone now, so that's good. And yeah, we're running. So it's 1240. Sleep function. Looks like I've got the alarm, oops, wrong thing, in the zone. So it's off. We're wind this through.
Street Caravan contributor Jim Spake.
Yeah, then it's off again. So the horrible alarm sound or radio. Oops, I've got some muck on there. And you can just test that by winding the alarm. It's weird because you turn the clock clockwise, but the alarm anti-clockwise, just to confuse you. Maybe there's a reason for that, just so you can't mix them up. If you just turn that round until it basically hits the time or thereafter, and that'll turn your alarm on for you, and you can test that works. But yeah, that's come up rather nice. Now we've got a bit of greasy stuff on the front, but some fine scratches on it, but that's nothing compared to some of them. And yeah, a little bit more work on the speaker grill will get it looking better, but that's come up real well. So just a dirty switch in the radio and a bit of a clean. We've got a rather nice little flip clock there, which I may end up selling. I'm not sure I really want to keep it, but I might enjoy it for a while at least. I could probably make quite a nice little profit on that one on eBay or somewhere. But yeah, I think I might just sit that around for a while and look at it and see if I like it or not. I'm not a massive fan of the looks of it, but it's not too bad. There are a lot uglier flip clocks out there, especially the wood grain finish ones. I actually quite like the white ones or the coloured ones. But anyway, thanks for watching.